Hi, my name is Peter Francis.
And I'm Michael Curiosis. We're with Goat Hoat.
You are listening to the Fearless Investor podcast with my good friend Kyle Stanley.
Keep listening to learn how to conquer the world of investing.
Wow. Today, I have a special treat for you here on the Fearless Investor podcast. Michael Curiosis and Peter Francis with Goat Hoat. They are going to bring you just so much amazing, powerful knowledge here in the Airbnb and short-term rentals industry, especially diversifying your business, which they were forced into doing right around when COVID started, losing $90,000 of reservations on the day that COVID really started, but still persevering through and almost quadrupling their business in less than a year and a half. So cannot wait to get to this episode. We did it in our Facebook group. As I've mentioned before, our Airbnb Kickstart Mastermind Facebook group is a private group, and it is something that it's reserved especially for our students. And so if you want to learn how to become one of our students, all you have to do is honestly just look at any of my content and it'll drive you to where you want to be. But especially if you want to go to my Instagram, which is at Fearless Kyle, and click on that link in the bio. It talks about applying for our Airbnb Kickstart Mastermind and course. And I can answer any questions and you can see all of the information right there of what it looks like to be a part of it. So before we get started though with Peter and Michael, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors, Boostly and Mark Simpson with Boostly. He says, listen up. If you didn't know, it's 2021. Things are changing in the short-term rentals world. Funny enough, that is exactly what our topic is today with Peter and Michael. Host, you can't keep relying on Airbnb to bring all of your business. You have to start booking directly to your customer. How do you do that? You do it with a WordPress site. And WordPress sounds like a lot of work or a lot of money, a lot of time, right? Well, that's where Boostly comes in. They're hosting and servicing over 600 clients nationwide and actually worldwide. And they're one of the best in website design for the short-term rentals industry. Pricing starts right around $99, and it doesn't matter if you have one property or 100. And once again, Mark Simpson, the founder of Boostly, he tells me that you are guaranteed to get your direct bookings up with all the tools, training, and the website, or your money back. Again, that's Boostly, and you can find it at boostly.co.uk/fearless. Boostly is boostly.co.uk/fearless. Your future business will thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get to it with Michael and Peter here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey guys, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. We've got a really special show today. Peter Francis and Michael Curiosis. And yes, I had to practice Michael's last name about 7 or 8 times before we got on here. Full transparency. Guys, what's going on? Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going live in the Facebook group too. So we're going to be getting some questions around here. Really excited for the engagement that we're going to get today. For those of you that are listening on the podcast and you hear me saying, hey, we got a question from so-and-so, this is our private mastermind group, just under 50 members that are getting the high level and the access to these guys before it even goes live. So that's why you're hearing some questions. But guys, let's get started with my favorite question. What is your craziest, wildest, or funniest Airbnb moment in your 3-year career now?
Sure. I think really a big defining moment for us was we were 1 year into our business at a comedy club with all of our friends and family, literally celebrating our 1-year anniversary. We had just broken even as a business 1 year in, and this is all doing rental arbitrage. So we had to pay all that stuff off.
That's great.
We were booked out through the summer. We literally had one property that we were half booked for in June, and we're going to profit $6,000 from that, just that one half a month. And while we're at the club, we're already laughing, and Peter gets a text about the extenuating circumstances. And so now we're even more, hysterically laughing. And I think we went on to lose about $90,000 in cancellations over the next 24 hours.
Oh my gosh.
We had to do some pivoting and figure it out from there. So it was funny in both ways.
Completely. And it was one of those things where you're just like, oh man, I thought we were about to make it. And it just kind of seemed like a little comical part of just our life and our kind of journey. It was like,
wow.
Everything was
well, and a scary moment, right? But when did you guys find that things started kind of getting back to normal, or that, that $90,000 that hit you so hard was now starting to get recouped?
Yeah, it was really bad through like partway through June. And then by July, we were finally profiting again. And we were able to make up everything by the end of the year. But I think we still made like a fifth of what we were supposed to make.
Yeah, and we kind of got a credit where we were able to
Right.
kind of grow is compared to other management companies. When we switched to management, they weren't getting booked.
Right.
I'll say we were a little bit more risk adverse, where we thought we had pretty good screening systems. So where we would lower our prices, kind of fill up the calendar, and still be and kind of do a little bit of a longer stay
Right.
approach. And so some of our clients we're going to their other clients, be like, hey, how's your calendar? Like, we haven't had a booking in a month. And the guy's like, we're not doing great. We were about 80% filled,
Mhm.
making 80% of what we're supposed to, but at least we're bringing something in during these kind of crazy, uncertain times. And that was kind of our way of sticking out.
Right.
Wow. Well, that's a good little teaser into what we're really going to be talking about today, because I know there's so much during COVID that you guys transitioned, you grew big time. But before we go into that, I want to kind of turn back the clock 3 years. What were you guys doing before Airbnb? What brought you together to do this business?
Sure. Yeah. So about 5 years ago, I was in corporate consulting on the digital marketing side. Left my our third partner and my girlfriend Maria. We wanted to go start a business. We started doing e-commerce, selling things on Amazon. Did a little bit of digital marketing consulting on the side because that's where I'd come from. And then got into real estate. We didn't realize that like you could do real estate so early. We thought you had to add money. We didn't know you could use other people's money. So we started flipping houses, and like, everyone's first home flip, it was taking too long, spending too much money on the construction,
Right.
and not selling for the price we wanted at the end. And Peter and I were talking actually on a trip. We were like, we've always wanted to do something together. What can we do? And a need at the time was we need something to do with this property while it sits and waits to be sold. So we were like, well, Airbnb. And it ended up actually selling, but because of how excited we were by that, we actually went out and started leasing properties.
Yeah, and kind of out of college for myself, I was in automotive marketing. I did like riding drives, or you'd see me working at like an auto show, going over just the different vehicles and everything. And it was awesome. I got to travel a lot, but I knew it wasn't something I wanted to do full time. And luckily, I have two uncles who started their own business and built up a pretty successful business. And I wanted to work in the office, see kind of how they did it. And after a year, I realized there's no book to entrepreneurship. It is basically figure it out. And once I kind of started to realize that, and Michael had the idea, we always wanted to work together. We're childhood friends, so
Nice.
the two kind of matched up. I was in Detroit, he was in Chicago.
Mhm.
We had about 3 leases, and then I full time made the move here.
That's awesome. How cool is that you guys being childhood friends now are, building this empire together?
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is.
Agree.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I was doing this by myself essentially for the first, call it 2 years. And then my best friend reached out to me and said, hey, I want to do the same thing. And I can just say from a personal standpoint, like being able to do this with a friend has been so awesome. But I bet too, there's probably some struggles there of like, you guys are probably so comfortable with each other that it's easy to argue about some stuff, huh?
It's better that way.
Yeah.
Like I think the fact that we can be honest and be like, no, it needs to be done this way, or call
Yeah.
each other out when we need
Right.
to. Like I don't think we ever tiptoe around anything, which gets us to the best
No, that is true.
answer.
There's no tiptoeing,
Right.
which is good. I mean, we kind of grew up together. We spent time living with each other and stuff.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where I kind of know his strengths and weaknesses. He knows my strengths and weaknesses,
Yep.
and we can kind of play off of them.
That's
Positive.
awesome.
I think we have
So
a division of labor.
what's that, Michael? Say that again.
I think we have a very good division of labor as well. We each let each other run at the things that we're more experts on, and trust each other in that way too.
Yeah, that's good. Is that what you guys kind of do? Michael, you have your set of responsibilities. Peter, you have yours, and you don't cross over those boundaries for each other?
Not a ton. I mean, we definitely do a lot of working together, but we're the clear owner of those.
That's great. That's really good. And how old are you guys?
30.
Just turned.
Just turned 30. Okay, nice. You both look like you're mid-20s, so it's a good thing. Meanwhile, I'm over here looking like I'm 33 going on 50. But hey, let me ask you this. So you were in, one of you was in Chicago, one of you was in Detroit, but now you're both in San Diego, right?
We're both in Chicago now.
Right.
In Chicago. Okay. Got it.
More time in San Diego now that we're there.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So where was the first city that you launched?
Chicago.
Okay.
Tried to do Chicago and Detroit at the same time, but Detroit kept falling through.
Okay. And I mean, I know Chicago and Detroit, and especially even San Diego, like some of these cities that you've been in have gone through restrictions and regulations. What was that like, just having to deal with those kinds of cities?
Yeah, it's kind of the biggest threat to our business. Chicago was strict, but if you knew the rules then and you followed them, then you were good. And back then it was kind of nice. There was a barrier to entry for people, and we knew the rules and we knew how to follow them. Unfortunately, Chicago keeps threatening like even stricter regulations, which is kind of the classic city of Chicago. They don't really do anything that helps them actually make money. But we'll see. It was supposed to go into effect last year, and then now June 1st, and hasn't really gone into effect yet. So we'll see what happens. But we've already had to adjust before. Detroit was about to ban it right after we were doing that stuff. That's why we took the foot off the pedal. But I know Darren Lewis and them have helped get better regulations put in place, which is really impressive. Hopefully, I think he's doing stuff in Chicago. Hopefully, he can help us here too.
Yeah, and then right before we got on here, we were talking about you guys going into Philadelphia now, and Philadelphia is talking about bans. So this is kind of a common theme for the cities that you guys are going into, which is rough. But what have been maybe like some tricks or tips that you have for the audience of, hey, if you are in a place that is restricted, here's how you can still possibly do business there?
I mean, it's really meeting other hosts in your area and finding out exactly what the rules are and what's allowed. Like we know now in Chicago to target, specific types of properties that give us the best chance that are going to be safe from regulation for a while. But to us, it's also mitigating your risk. It was a big reason for us to start spreading out throughout the country, was just in case one of our cities goes down, we have Airbnbs all around and it should be okay. So like Peter was saying, because he was in Detroit when we started, we built this business remote. So it's allowed us to be able to go into 8, soon to be 10 cities in the country. And the harsher regulations is probably not only was COVID a big reason for why we expanded into vacation rentals in lake towns, but so is regulations. Like I think these cities who aren't used to Airbnb or short-term rentals are freaking out a little bit because they have never dealt with them before. But if we can go into markets that have always been short-term rentals or vacation markets, it's not foolproof, but it gives us the highest chance of them being okay with it in the long run.
I really like that. I think I've never heard it put that way, that it's, if it was already a vacation rental area, that's probably a great place to go because they're used to it. So Peter, what were some of the like lake towns that you guys decided to go after, and what was it about those vacation areas that attracted you to them?
So it was funny. One of our main investors here in Chicago said he was going to buy his house in Southwest Michigan in the city called Coloma. We both grew up in Michigan. We had no idea what Coloma was, where it was. And we ended up going in on a purchase on on this campus where it has 5 cottages. They were just basically they're brand new, and the previous owner built them up and he wanted to move on to his next project right on Pawpaw Lake. So now we've actually have those 5 cottages. We've converted a shed into another cottage. We bought the house next door. Him and his buddies are now taking over this little town of Coloma, where we're going to have about 12 to 13 properties, I think, just in this city.
Wow.
From there, also close to Chicago, is so you get a lot of people from Chicago travel. It's about 2 hours to Coloma, but about an hour on Lake Michigan is Michigan City, Indiana. So we wanted something too where we could still kind of promote to our Chicago audience, because you get a little bit more of locals, or you have a lot of people living in apartments in Chicago. You bring your family in out of town, you get an Airbnb just because you need that room to host.
Right.
And the other one was Lake Geneva. So kind of Midwest lake towns,
Yeah.
real big summer populations, not so much winter. And to kind of estimate that, our next city that we're going to start targeting is Northern Michigan and like Boyne City, just because we'll have those summers. Summer in Michigan's crazy. People will pay ridiculous. It's the only thing we have to look forward to. So
Really?
yes,
right?
yeah. It was a 4th of July, and I was like, oh, I want to go up to Boyne. Let me see. It cost me more to spend 2 days at a Best Western in Traverse City than it would 3 days at the Ritz downtown Chicago.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I was where I was like, okay, this is a.
And what's driving people there at that time?
So you had your summer. It's just the weather. You in
Yeah.
Michigan, you really only have about 2 months of beach, and we have so many lakes.
Yeah.
So everyone has their boats. So whether you're coming from Metro Detroit area or whether you're coming from the Chicago area, you get a lot of traffic up to Northern Michigan. And then in the winter, it has a great skiing. So
Wow.
it would be able to kind of be full season.
That's awesome. Okay. So I guess what I'm gathering from your story right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but pre-COVID, maybe there wasn't as much diversity as there is today.
Correct.
Okay. So let's talk about that transition. COVID hits, you guys see in 24 hours, $90,000 gone in reservations. Probably wondering if you should go back to your 9-to-5 jobs, I'm guessing. And what at that time, obviously, you know, after the dust settled a little bit and you were able to make a plan, what was the plan moving forward, and where was that plan coming from?
Yeah, I mean, it was really a two-pronged pivot. Part one was get into vacation rentals because the one thing that's surviving and thriving during COVID was that everybody wanted to work. You know, they were all working from home. So it was like, why not work at a lake? Let's get away from the city. So that was part one, was to expand that into our portfolio.
Nice.
The biggest thing though was at the time, the market was so strong before COVID. We used to joke that we could literally Airbnb a shoebox. So we were going out signing every lease we could, and we were starting to do a really good job of building relationships with landlords and agents to find them. We were growing really fast. We only had a couple clients at the time, and to prove ourselves to them, we were actually doing a model where we only make money if they make money. So our model was that we would make 70% of everything above market rent and nothing if we were under market rent. So at the time, it was great. We were actually making a good amount of money doing it, proving ourselves to our clients. When you can't make market rent because it's COVID, you don't make any money.
Really quick, sorry, break that down for me. So let's say market rent was $2,000.
Yep.
Okay. You're saying once you hit $2,000, then you guys were earning 70% on top of.
Even tougher. We had to bring in 2,000 or more than 2,000 plus expenses.
Okay.
So of net income. So basically, you know, if we brought in $4,000 and spent 500, then we would make 70% of everything above 2,000.
Okay, so you'd make 70% of $1,500.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, that's really unique. That's the first time I've heard of something like that. I love that because it gives that owner a little bit of peace of mind that they're not going to be in the hole.
There's nothing like pitching someone saying, we're not going to make money unless you make money.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to stop there for a second and get more of an idea of that. So keep going.
Sure. So we really had to shift both the fact that lease arbitrages are amazing when the market's up. You make so much money, and they're starting to look now. So we're thinking about doing more again now. But you know, when the market's down, you're liable for all the expenses, all of the lease, and we had an out in every single one of our lease. We didn't get it. We don't get in any leases without an ability to get out of it. But we actually ended up keeping all of our leases through COVID because we were able to recover by June. We really thought about getting some, but we shifted heavily into growing the management side of the business at a flat percentage. Now, what we were doing back then, because we were still in these areas that don't make a ton of money, especially with management in Chicago, we were doing 20% of net income, but at least we were making money every month to cover us. But now that we're in vacation rentals and we've seen what some of the crazy rates some of these people charge up in Northern Michigan, they're charging what, 50%?
Yeah, they charge 50%
revenue.
Management. Or yeah.
Whoa.
Right. Yeah.
50 of the gross?
Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So we now, at least we charge 25% of revenue. We're we're at a point in the business where we don't have to take on everything that's brought to us or that we find. And we're at a point now where we've proven ourselves. We have a very good track record, especially number wise, that we can demand a 25% management fee of revenue.
That's awesome. Okay. So basically what I'm hearing here is that you guys really transitioned over to the co-hosting model during COVID, but you did it in a way that was fair to the owners so that it was a little bit more attractive. Is that right?
Exactly. We wanted to have a little bit in the skin in the game to help them make money in tough times.
Yeah. So you said something there about, arbitrage making just a ton of money. And I know you guys have about 15 arbitrages. You've got about 10 that you own. And then the other, what is that, 35, totaling up to 60 are co-hosting. So of those three, which have you liked the most? And which of them did you feel like is the least risky?
Well, the least risky is management.
Yeah.
You're going to make money, each month, no matter what. And your biggest risk is how much time are your clients going to take us. So it is really important to set up boundaries up front. But honestly, it's probably when it comes down, it's probably the easiest too. You don't have to do all the utilities. So, the maintenance from guests is on you, but not maintenance of the house. Bigger items. We have some clients who very much trust us. We don't hear from them all month. We run their place on Airbnb, make them a good amount of money, send them a payment on PayPal with a report at the end of every month, and we make a good chunk ourselves, and everybody's happy. I mean, in that scenario, that's got to be the easiest.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You're more the operations.
I like lease arbitrage just because it's like, it's my place. I'm going to rent it out. We kind of make the decisions. I'm not going back and forth or doing something, have to bounce it off of someone. But I also loved it. And that's what we started with, and kind of going through the downtimes or even going through winters or slow seasons. I do like the management. I like the idea of trying to bring something in at all times of the year. And obviously our long-term goal is to own. We want to build enough wealth through real estate so we can retire, and management helps us get us there. Running on Airbnb helps us get us there faster. But ideally, like these cottages, that's the perfect situation where we go in with a group.
Right.
We partly own, but as well as we are the management company that comes with it. So kind of double dip a little bit.
Okay, awesome. So when you guys got in though, you were full arbitrage, right?
Yep. Completely.
Okay. So my question really comes from when you had this transition and you decided like, okay, co-hosting was the way to go. Was there resistance? Was there like, we feel like we're settling for co-hosting now that we're having to change the model, or were you excited about doing that?
We just wanted to bring something in during uncertain times. I'm gonna be honest, we were looking for any way to keep the business afloat and have something to build and work on, and still add new listings. And every time you add a new listing, you get pretty excited about it.
That's awesome. What's been the best way? I mean, with 60 listings, I don't know how many owners that is that you're working with. What's been your number one way of growth? Marketing.
Oh, now it's by far become word of mouth. I mean, we used to do everything from cold calling and Zillow blasting and just talking to everyone we could. We got to a point where we actually had to say, hold on a minute, we're growing enough from word of mouth alone that we had to get deep and do our operations for a few months and make sure our team was fully built out to keep handling our growth. We're just at that point now where our team's doing a really good job, our internal team, and we're ready to grow again. So we might start doing some marketing again, but we're really happy with the things that are coming to us from word of mouth and from our clients and referrals from our clients. And kind of like Peter said, we just really want to impress the clients that we have now so that we can all go in together, and hopefully we'll bring in our friends and family too and buy as many real estate assets as we can. Hopefully things that cash flow as long-term rentals that we can keep forever as a retirement, and we'll use our expertise in the meantime to manage it on Airbnb and either pay it off faster or buy the next one quicker.
Yeah, I think, I definitely think a question is going to be here. If you like co-hosting so much, if you like arbitrage so much, then why are you wanting to own? Why is that the one thing that you want to do? Especially like I think about it from a um all, going all in standpoint. If I go all in on the co-host, I don't owe anything. I don't have any money in the deal. If I go all in on arbitrage, call it $10,000 to $15,000. But when I go all in to purchase a house, man, I can be upwards of $100,000. So why is it that that's where you guys eventually really want to be?
It's a job, it's a salary. It's a great way to make money, but it could go away at any point.
Mm.
The market could go away at any point, both the economy, or what if short-term rentals isn't the thing anymore? Airbnb goes away, or I mean, I know we're doing, we're spreading ourselves out with having our own website and all, but what if the travel industry blows up? We need to have assets that are going to make us money forever. And I think that's the way you truly retire one day.
Yeah, I think that's so good. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday who's also in real estate wholesaling. He has a VA company and he as well. And we were kind of catching up, and he said, what's next for you? And I said, well, I'm just building things up just in case this industry ever does fall through. And
Right.
he's like, why would it ever fall through? And I was like, I don't think it ever will. And but I have to be prepared for that. I'd be foolish to, we none of us thought that COVID would ever happen,
Right.
but the ones that were, preparing for some sort of rainy day, whatever that looks like,
Right.
we're a little bit more ready than the ones that were just like, yeah, money's coming in and it's always going to come in. And so for that reason, I can spend it all the time, that's why 2008 happened. Right. So, um, I love that. And I think it can be a little bit doom and gloom, to think of like worst case scenario all the time, but it is such a strong way to build your business. Is if you're always thinking about, what's the worst that could happen? Am I okay with that happening? And how can I, um, weatherproof my business so that when the worst does happen, it's not as bad. I think that's a great place to be. So excited to hear that you guys are doing that. Speaking of some obstacles, Gracie just posted in our group. She said, "What's the greatest obstacle you guys encountered in your arbitrage journey, and how did you overcome that?" So arbitrage, I guess, is what she's focusing on there. Greatest obstacle, and how did you overcome it? And maybe the COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably the greatest
Right.
obstacle, just because Michael does a really good job with when he sets up our leases, that we have an out. If we're, for some reason, we're unable to put the home on Airbnb or the apartment on Airbnb, we are able to get out of our clause, or out of our lease,
Right.
and we'll obviously help the building try to find a new tenant or anything. We'll do our part there, but going through COVID and seeing a house, an apartment you may rent for, let's say, 2,500, and you're lucky to get 12. It was tough. It was, how do we keep this money? Luckily, you took out a loan.
Yeah.
We were able to keep business afloat, and then we were able to kind of, by the time June came around, we were starting to get a little bit of management. Some travel was coming back. It was really tough because we were only in Chicago at the start, and winter's already bad enough here. It's such a seasonal state or city. But we had just signed 2 apartment buildings, full arbitrage in San Diego. So not only do we just kind of come out of a winter where we built up, Michael did a good job of building up our reserves, but we just signed an $11,000 lease,
Yeah.
as well
Put
as
20 grand into furniture.
Mm,
that was
wow. Wow.
that,
So can you tell me a little bit about what these outs look like and how you negotiate them?
Sure. Yeah, we have a very, very explicit relationship with all of our landlords, which is why I think we've kept them all. We have very good relationships with our landlords. I think they appreciate us because we're keeping their places full at a good rate. We're paying more over time. We're taking care of their place. We have extra insurance on their place. The normal pitch for our arbitrage. So just to make sure we're protected in these leases, we number one sign every lease in a business name, and it's an LLC specific to that lease. Just in case you have to have asset protection there. And then we have an amendment in every single one of our leases that specifically says we are renting this place to put on short-term rental sites and are allowed to put on short-term rental sites. And then we have another clause in there that says if anything hinders our ability to short-term rental these places, whether it's regulations or economy or anything like that, then we're allowed to exit with, I think we usually do like 30-day notice. We even put in there too, like if for some reason they stop allowing us, if they stop allowing us to short-term rental, we're out immediately. I think we do 30 or 60-day notice, depending on the landlord, if we're going to leave.
That's good. So essentially the things that are out of your control is
Right.
what allows you to be able to get out. It's not, hey, we're not good at our job anymore, so we're going to get out. It's, hey, the city or a COVID or something out of our control happened. Okay. I like that a lot. I get this question a lot. I know how I answer it, but I want to hear how you guys answer it. Someone says, hey, I just created my LLC, and every apartment that I'm talking to is saying, you can't, do it unless your LLC's been in existence for X amount of years or has credit or, it has to be more established. Did you encounter that at all? And you did? Okay. Talk about that.
Two things on that. Number one, move on. There's plenty of other places. If you're getting off to that kind of relationship with the landlord, you don't want to work with them. They're too strict. We've had at least 5+ that we have spent a month at least negotiating, getting everything put together. And we're explicit from the start. Everything I just told you, I tell them in the first 5 minutes of meeting them, because I don't want to waste my time if they're not okay with us doing all that stuff. And we get to the closing table, or we're going to pick up keys, or we're going to do the final signing, and all of a sudden they're not okay with an LLC. They want us to personally guarantee it. Happens actually, unfortunately, a lot. That's why we're so explicit. Peter was on his way to pick up keys in Detroit.
My buddy, he was going in on this one too. We got all the furniture. We've been talking for months. The day I'm supposed to pick up keys, I'm a couple miles away. No one's answering my call. I go to the office is locked. About a week later, he goes, oh, the owner doesn't want Airbnb. He didn't know it was Airbnb. It's like, we've had this talk a million times, and still it just doesn't click.
I'd say really the most important thing you can do too, other than being explicit from the start to not waste time, is build a credibility package. Basically, you have to sell yourself. Life and business are sales. So the more you can point to your website or a presentation or landlord references from your other landlords, the more you have those things, the more trustworthy you'll become to that person.
I love it. Guys, this is so much value. I want to ask 2 more questions from our group. It actually comes from the same person. His name's Kyle Colette. Kyle says, first of all, what are your recommendations when submitting an application with the city or county for a short-term rental permit? Any special tips there?
Usually.
We really didn't have much for, even with Chicago, we kind of just knew what the regulations were going to be. We will put it under, so in Chicago, it's funny, you can have a max of 6 in a building and up to 25%. So essentially, if you have a 7-unit building, only 1 can go on Airbnb. If you have a 9-unit building, only 2 can go on Airbnb. So with those ones, we were able to put it under our business. When we register, it'd be Goat Hoat that would register, as well as our email. And those have been fine. I'd really just say try to learn what regulations and kind of what the city does.
Right. If they have rules, usually they make you follow them. I mean, Scottsdale is, I guess, the one that they'll reach out to you too. Scottsdale is the one that you're supposed to reach out to them. Other than that, every other city we've been in that actually has rules, when you put your listing up on Airbnb, they make you fill all that stuff out.
Okay. Got it. A backup on that is, call it like a Scottsdale. If Scottsdale is not, or a city is not very active, but that it's something that needs to be done, is there any like advice? Should you just get it out of the way, or should you wait until they send you a letter saying like you need to put this up? What do you say?
I just get it done. I do. If there are rules, I would follow them, especially if you're in the co-host model. The last thing you want to do when representing your clients is not do things the way they're supposed to be legally done.
Okay, good. By the way, I can't believe I haven't asked this question yet. Goat Hoat. Why Goat Hoat?
I think when we first got started, it was just like, okay, we need to stand out. This is such a saturated industry, especially then. There was Sonder and Lyric and all these big players, and then a million of us. And it was like, we need to do something to stand out and be memorable for. And yeah, we thought, Goat, if we're gonna do this, let's be the greatest of all time. And we're really big into travel and food and everything like that. So we said, you know what, we're gonna stand out by coming in here, and no matter where our unit is or how nice our unit is or how expensive our unit is, we're gonna make sure these people have the best time ever while they're in town.
And so I get the goat part. What's the hoat part?
It's play on hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
That greatest
It
of all time hotel. Okay.
very good.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And you guys say a lot that it's the year of the goat. Where does that come from?
Yeah. Oh, it's just us
Yeah,
being excited, doing
Yep.
some affirmations. It's our year,
I love it. Okay. Last question here. We really didn't talk much about this, but I know you guys have done a great job of building your team around virtual assistants, and you have a few. So Kyle also asked, what are some of the things you guys did beforehand to prepare yourself for hiring VAs? Any specific learning materials or trainings that you created?
So we listened to a lot of podcasts. We kind of did spent a good time on education, but truthfully, the best thing I could say is just kind of getting started. I had no experience with this, and the next thing you know, I was kind of more operations. Michael did the finance and client outreach, and so we did it for the first year. I was answering we didn't have the technology. I wish we would have with automated messaging, but we got up to about 13 or 14 properties, and I was still messaging every guest. I was pre-sending every code. I was setting alarms on my phone. So I really dove into it and basically went to hell and back with this experience, and was able to document. Once we had our team, we hired 3 right away. We were going to hire 1, but we were so impressed with the level of talent we were able to find for the price. And then you spend a lot of time. It takes about a good year to get someone fully trained up. And I probably stayed in it longer than I should have. But right now we have a team of 5 that basically cover us around the clock 24/7. And with that, it's just trying to get them to be where they could be 80% of what if we did it ourselves. So there are still emergencies or messages, and we're still involved a little bit. But being able to take off the majority of the back and forth and it just frees you up to do more and continue to work on those systems to always improve them. It's a tough business. There's no black and white answer. There's a lot of gray areas, and you make 100 decisions a day, and I'm lucky to get 60% of them right. So it's
so I've got a backup question on that. You said, it took like a year to really get them fully trained up. Do you think that was that's a standard, or do you think that, now that you have either better onboarding or better trainings, that it's easier to bring someone on and takes less time to really fully get them integrated?
It'd definitely be easier now, but there is still just like there is still a little bit of a language barrier or on a decision.
Experience factor too. Of like,
yeah.
As many systems as we put in place, you cannot avoid the judgment calls in guest management. There's so many unique situations, and you can just tell after they have enough experience. There's just that they get it. They know, okay, I need to be hospitable, but I should make these types of decisions.
It's good. 1 or 2 places to find a virtual assistant?
So we started with onlinejobs.ph, which was great. But truthfully, I'm not a headhunter. So I was going through all these resumes, and then I was interviewing a bunch, and I like everybody. So it was tough for me to kind of go through the 3 I wanted to start with, and it worked out well. But there's what is it? Virtual Staff Finder. You pay a $500 upfront fee. They give you you list out everything that you're looking for in a virtual assistant, and they'll set you up with 3 to interview. And you can hire 1, you could hire all 3, and if you were to pass on all 3, they would find 3 more. We ended up 1 didn't have Airbnb experience, 2 did. 1 is now our manager, and the one who didn't have Airbnb experience is probably one of our friendliest. Just a great hard worker.
We need everyone to have her attitude.
Yes.
That's great. That's so good. I know Virtual Staff Finder was something you guys recommended to me in our mastermind that we're in, and I just submitted, and they're doing their search right now for me. So I'm excited because I'm like you, Peter. I am not a headhunter. Like I had tried hiring a couple of virtual assistants, and just due to lack of time in my life, I was just like, okay, cool. You want the job? Let's bring you on, and I didn't put them through any sort of pre-qual, and 3-month mistakes, both of them. And so it was to know that someone else is going to do that for me. Like I said, if you suck at it, then outsource it. So virtual staff finder, I suck at it. Hopefully their outsourcing is their delegation is going to be a lot better than mine. Guys, this has been so valuable today. So excited for all of your success, for all of the growth that you saw during COVID. Is there any last words that you have for our audience before we jump off here?
Really just we're always looking to grow. So, and we're always open to partners. So if there's anybody that out there that wants to do some stuff together, or we're always looking for new units or clients. So if you know people that own properties and want to put them up on short-term rentals, or of properties that be a good purchase, we have money, we have investors and clients. If you bring us something and we end up working together, we'll or even if it's just a referral client, we always offer a 10. We'll cut you into 10% of our side, essentially.
That's awesome, and that can be anywhere in the U.S.
Exactly. Yeah, we're very much all about building remote teams now, so we can do it anywhere.
Super cool. Where can people connect with you?
What do we like best? Probably
goathoat@gmail.com.
Yeah,
is probably the best place that we'll
Perfect.
see it.
Perfect. Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes. But for those of you that are driving right now, Goat Hoat is GOATHOTE, just like how it sounds. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today and helping our audience to conquer the world of investing. Really appreciate you. Show notes for this one are fearlesskyle.com/Goat Hoat. That's GOATHOTE. I love their story. I love the ambition that both these guys have. And even when we got off the call, I talked to them a little bit more, and they are just like, they want to get huge. They've already got 60 units. They want to get to triple digits and beyond. So if you know of anyone that needs help with managing their properties, what a great opportunity to link up with Michael and Peter, bring them a property and earn some cash flow. Essentially what they were talking about there is if they make $1,000 per month, you're going to get cut in at 10% of that. So you'll make $100 per month just for a referral. That is passive income. We want to build up all of our passive income streams, right? So what better way to do that than to help out Peter and Michael, who are running their business professionally. They're giving their guests a great experience and giving their hosts a great experience as well. So that's going to do it today for the Fearless Investor Podcast. We're helping you to conquer the world of investing, conquer the world of Airbnb. We'll see you next time.